Okay, so there's a sci-fi film slated for 2026 that is carrying some seriously heavy expectations on its shoulders. It's called Project Hail Mary. And today, we're going to break down the whole thing. The story, the movie adaptation, and, most importantly, why so many people are looking at this film as a beacon of hope in a movie landscape that, let's face it, desperately needs something new.
I mean, let's be honest, you've probably felt it too, right? This kind of exhaustion with what's out there. It really feels like modern Hollywood is stuck in a loop, just giving us the same stuff over and over. Endless sequels, reboots, and franchises that just won't quit. It feels like we're always getting another chapter in a story we've been watching for a decade. So the hunger for something truly original, a big, bold new idea, well, it's stronger than ever.
But, every once in a while, a project comes along that feels different. It's like a potential antidote to all that fatigue. And right now, there's one specific movie that's being seen as that antidote. It's got all the right ingredients to break the cycle. It's not based on a comic book, it's not a sequel, it's not a remake. It's a standalone, high-concept story that promises to give us that inventive, thought-provoking experience we've all been missing.
And that film is Project Hail Mary. Now, if that author's name, Andy Weir, sounds familiar to you, it absolutely should. This is the guy who wrote The Martian, which, as you know, was turned into a huge, critically acclaimed blockbuster movie. So right off the bat, we know the source material is top-notch. Weir has this incredible knack for taking really complex science and turning it into the engine of a thrilling and deeply human story.
All right, so what's the big idea here? Well, the story kicks off with a problem that is about as high stakes as you can possibly imagine. We're not talking about saving a city or a country. We're talking about a global catastrophe that's threatening to wipe out all life on Earth. But this isn't your typical alien invasion or giant asteroid. The problem is far more fundamental, and it's happening light years away with our very own sun.
So let's dig into how this incredible journey actually begins. The setup is basically a classic sci-fi mystery, but it's one with a terrifyingly short deadline. The fate of all humanity is literally hanging in the balance from the first page. You can think of it like a detective story where the crime scene is our entire solar system and the victim is our star.
So in the near future, scientists make this absolutely horrifying discovery. Our sun is losing energy at this alarming, unprecedented rate, way faster than any natural model could ever predict. It's like an invisible infection is spreading from star to star, and ours is the next victim. If this keeps up, the Earth is going to slowly but surely freeze solid, becoming a giant snowball in space. The clock is ticking for the entire human race. After some frantic, worldwide research, the best minds on the planet finally identify the culprit, and it is wild. It's a microscopic, spacefaring life form they call astrophage. These things are basically interstellar parasites. Think of them as a microbe that eats light. They travel between stars, literally feeding on their energy. And because they can store so much of that energy, they can travel at nearly the speed of light, infesting whole galaxies. And right now, our sun is their lunch. So humanity is backed into a corner with only one incredibly desperate long-shot plan. Astronomers find an anomaly, a nearby star that for some reason isn't being eaten by the astrophage. It's completely healthy. The plan is absolutely insane. Use the astrophage itself as fuel, build a ship, send a tiny crew on a one-way trip to that star, figure out its secret, and somehow bring that solution back home. Given the ridiculously slim chances of success, the mission gets its codename, Project Hail Mary. But here is where the story throws its first massive curveball. We start the story as our hero, Dr. Ryland Grace, wakes up from a long cryosleep. He's millions of miles from Earth. The other two crew members are dead, and he has absolutely no memory of who he is, how he got there, or what his mission is. He is completely alone in a metal can in the middle of nowhere with the fate of the world on his shoulders, and he has to piece it all together from square one. And just as Grace is trying to figure out his own identity and the terrifying scale of what he has to do, he discovers something that changes absolutely everything. This lonely, impossible mission to save humanity is about to become something much, much bigger. He finds another ship at his destination star, an alien ship. And it becomes very clear very quickly that they aren't hostile. In fact, they are there for the exact same reason he is. Turns out, Earth isn't the only planet whose star is dying, and we aren't the only species who sent a desperate last-ditch mission to this one star hoping to find an answer. And this sets up the incredible relationship that is the emotional core of the entire story. On one side, you've got Dr. Ryland Grace, a human biologist, a pretty normal guy who has to rise to an impossible occasion. And on the other, you have the alien ship's only crew member, who Grace nicknames Rocky. Rocky is an engineer from a high-gravity world. He looks like a giant, rocky crab, he communicates through music, and his whole perception of the universe is fundamentally different from ours. And this, right here, is what makes the story so special. Forget the amazing science and the world-ending stakes for a second. At its heart, this is a story about two individuals from opposite ends of the galaxy, with nothing in common, who learn to communicate through the universal languages of math and physics. They have to work together, bridging this unimaginable biological gap to solve a problem that's going to destroy both of their species. It's just a powerful story about friendship and sacrifice. Okay, so with a story that beloved and that compelling, you can imagine the pressure for the movie adaptation is incredibly high. The book's fans are passionate, and the expectations are just through the roof. So, how's it all looking? Let's get into the signs. So far, a lot of the news is very promising. First off, Ryan Gosling as Ryland Grace, that feels like a perfect choice. He's got that ability to handle serious drama, but also deliver a really dry, relatable wit. The production design also looks spot on. Just like in The Martian, the tech on the ship looks grounded and functional, like it was slapped together by the smartest people on Earth in a huge rush, which it was. And really importantly, the early buzz is that the design for Rocky is very faithful to the book. But despite all these great signs, there is one major question mark hanging over this whole production that has a lot of fans watching very, very closely. And it all comes down to one thing: the tone. Can the directors get the balance just right? See, the directors are Phil Lord and Chris Miller. These are the guys behind massive comedy hits like The Lego Movie and 22 Jump Street. They are absolute geniuses at comedy, at being funny and clever. The book, though, is a high-stakes drama. Sure, it has funny moments, but the threat of extinction is always front and center, and it's treated with real gravity. The big worry is whether the movie might lean too far into the comedy, turning this tense, emotional thriller into more of a lighthearted space adventure. It's a really, really tricky tonal tightrope to walk. So when you put this all together, the success or failure of Project Hail Mary feels like it means a lot more than just whether we get one good or bad movie. For a lot of us, both in the audience and probably inside the industry, this film has come to represent something way bigger. For so many people, this film is kind of a test case. It's a big-budget movie that's based on a completely original, high-concept idea, not a franchise we already know. It's exactly the kind of smart, ambitious, and inventive science fiction that audiences have been saying they want to see more of. If this movie is a hit, it could prove to the big studios that there's still a massive audience for brand new ideas. And that all leads to the final, biggest question. In an industry that a lot of people feel is playing it way too safe, just churning out the same stuff over and over, could this movie, a story about a desperate, last-ditch mission to save the world, be the very thing that Hollywood needs to save itself? It's a long shot, but for once, a lot of people are hoping this Hail Mary pays off.